for other people. So thanks for joining, those of you who have joined today. And this week's Product Council is essentially a report from the Platform Quality and Security workstream on their work more generally, and specifically in the development of a software bill of materials. The workstream lead, Sam, is going to lead on that, and Shuchita, who I hope will introduce herself more formally, is going to describe some of the work on the software bill of materials. So I think over to you, Sam, for now.
Thanks, Paul. Hello, everyone. I'm counting that you're all very much invested in the quality and security of Mojaloop platform. So we've been carrying on with whatever we can do, evolution of the Mojaloop platform, which would mean the code base, the assets, and various artifacts in the ecosystem, including software as well. And our focus is on making sure that from a quality and security perspective, we ensure that evolution continues positively, and any issues that we address are addressed very quickly, or we even preemptively or proactively address those based on learnings from other open source ecosystems and other software. So this during this presentation, thanks Paul for giving us this a chance to talk about PQS. In fact, I'm very happy for the progress that we were able to make during this PI. Especially wanted to thank Shuchita, who's joined us from the dedicated mentoring program and has spent more than a few weeks in delivering some of the implementation research and stuff related to not just PQS, but other things as well. But in this meeting, wanted to cover the items that she was able to implement, and even outside of that, what we were able to do to improve and maintain the quality and security of Mojaloop. So at the beginning of the PI, we started off at that time with these 4 objectives. One was hardening our GitHub repositories. So on our GitHub repositories, we have anywhere between 20 to 30 different security mechanisms that we incorporate, and wanted to tighten most of them as well, like all of them that are published with our platform, especially with the Mojaloop release. So some of them included things like adding code owners and protecting main branches so that no one or users are not able to automatically or directly commit to the main branches. And then making sure that the security alerts that are prompted by the tools like Git Dependabot and Snake are addressed timely. And during the releases, we make the fixes to known vulnerabilities as well. So that was a big part of what we wanted to do, and that's a continuous thing with our ecosystem because it's software and Node.js. We are dependent on other open source packages and libraries. So that's a continuation from previous, and I'm thinking like unless we find a very good way to manage that, we'll have to keep doing that. Apart from that, one of the things we wanted to do was generate software bill of materials for Mojaloop repositories individually, and also have an aggregated view at the Mojaloop level as well. As in, if there is a particular dependency or library that we identify. Paul, can you hear me okay? And see.
I can hear you perfectly.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I was going on for a while, so I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Yeah. So, no, don't worry about it. You're perfectly clear.
On the software bill of material side, we wanted to make sure that we know what's happening inside of Mojaloop. So we were inspired by Node.js Foundation, which was doing an inventory of their own software, and we wanted to do that for Mojaloop as this will be this should be financial grade software for national level payments. So we want to take even the micro level details very seriously, as in what are the various attributes of even the lowest level libraries, packages, components that we use. So what is their licensing status? What is their published date? How active are the releases being made? How is it maintained? The vulnerability status? Those kind of things. So this PI gave us a chance to implement that, and Shuchita in the later part of this presentation will go into detail on what we did there. That also helped us identify and add some items to our own backlog, because earlier we were not focusing too much on any dependencies that are lower level, like say there is a particular library that we call or use, and then it in turn uses one or two more libraries, and then it goes on like that in a nested file. There can be anywhere between even some packages are even like 14 levels deep, and that's the nature of the Node.js ecosystem. But this gives us a view irrespective of the depth of the libraries and helps us identify packages that are not well maintained, so that we can have a good quality platform that is well maintained and free of vulnerabilities. So that's a big item that we did. And there are also many things that came out of that. We had some feedback from the DA on that. We presented at various forums, and today will be another opportunity to talk about it. And we have initial versions implemented for that. We'll continue about that as well. Apart from that, we started looking at licensing issues. So it was reported that some of our license files in the repositories were out of date. So we use some of the tooling that we have to raise bulk PRs in all our repositories. And at the same time, we are also ensuring that the topics for the repos are listed correctly, and the various attributes for Mojaloop repositories as well. But today we'd like to cover three things primarily. The majority of it on the software bill of materials activity, and then later in the later parts, later sections, cover the vulnerabilities and licensing updates as well. If you have any questions in the meantime, I feel free to post on chat or unmute yourself and ask. Yeah, it won't be an interruption. We appreciate the engagement. With that, I will pass on to Shuchita to talk us through what we did, a brief intro on software bill of materials and what we did for Mojaloop, and then we'll close out with the other minor updates.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I'm Suchita, and yeah, I've been working on the software bill of materials project. So software bill of materials, basically it is a complete inventory of the software components, the dependencies, and all which come up in the repositories. The goals of this was to generate metrics for each and every repository in at Mojaloop, and then find find deprecated or issues within the repositories. Can I share my screen?
Please go ahead, continue. Yeah, stop.
Yes. So a software bill of materials, it contains all the open source components, licenses, third-party components, packages, package versions, etc. We used a tool called Cyclone DX Generator to generate the software bill of materials. Basically, there is this NPM package, Cyclone DX NPM. You can look at it here. This was used to generate, first this package is installed, and then using these commands, we can generate the software bill of materials. It comes in JSON and X. After generating it in these formats, we also converted them to CSV and HTML. CSV is for better parsing and processing of the data, and then HTML, of course, for visibility and understanding and making sense out of this. So there were three things which we did: a repository-wise analysis, which is generate this document for every repository at Mojaloop. Collecting and mapping dependencies, that is finding all the dependencies across all the repositories, and then mapping, so taking one dependency and mapping all the services which depend on that dependency. And then additionally, we also put this into a database through which we can store all the data and then run simple queries. in case there is something you have to look for. So there was for central ledger, this is the document generated for central ledger. So there are three fields: metadata, components, and dependencies. So basically metadata describes, and there is also detail level. So we can have normal detail or a detailed version. This is the normal version, the concise version. So metadata, it describes the supplier, the manufacturer, or the target component for, that the bill of material describes. It says how the bomb was created and the license information. These are all the fields available. There is also a detailed version here, which contains more fields. Coming to components. So components basically describe the complete inventory of the first party and third party components. The specification can represent software, hardware devices, machine learning models, source codes, configurations, along with the manufacturer information, licenses, copyright details, and everything. So, and this is a type. This is basically the dependency. The license ID, group, author, name, version. Perl is a package URL that provides a standardized way to reference a component across different ecosystems. Path, once we run npm install, node modules is created. It contains all the packages. So this is where the dependency is found within node modules. This is a description of the dependency. VCS is the version control system. And the website is the official website or homepage of the component. And the issue tracker. And distributor. The hash algorithm is the algorithm we are using, and this is the hash value is the signature or authentication. Along with this, we also publish the published details and deprecated status using a command called npm view. So that gave us these two additional fields. A concise version of this can be seen over here. So if you want to quickly look at something, this can be helpful. Apart from this, we have dependencies. So dependencies gives basically all the dependencies which depend on other dependencies, which are transitive dependencies or interdependent dependencies, and then just the status, if it's active or deprecated, and yeah, some details. Over here, these are the transitive dependencies. They're separated by this tab symbol. So we can have like all the dependencies which like not only the first level, but also at higher levels, the dependencies can be noted over here. So so this is about the repository wise analysis. But from that, we came up with this CSV file, which is so this in this field over here, dependency, it maps it contains all the dependencies across all the repositories, the basic information about them. And then these are the Mojaloop repositories which contain this dependency. And also if there are different versions of the same dependency, that is also noted over here. And this is how it goes. Yeah. So So yes, that is all from my side about software bill of materials, and I'll pass it over to Sam to continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shuchita. Start sharing again. Yeah. So continuing on that view, this came from the DA feedback, adding of this deprecated status, and we identified that some of the low level dependencies are not well maintained, and even now there is some work underway to address those as well, to make sure that we either replace them or upgrade them to a better maintained version. So that was a big outcome, a significant outcome out of that activity, I would say. So let me go back to sharing. Let me go back to this pipeline of issues that we had, and then come back to the previous slide. So that was a big item that we wanted to do, and we have I can say now that we have an initial version. Right now, we have a cron job and an EC2 instance that runs this monthly and generates the SBOM files at a micro level, like at individual service level, and also at a macro level. We saw with the Excel sheet later that we saw where we can look at the mapping between every dependency and the services in Mojaloop that use it. So that version is there. We can probably continue to evolve it in the future PIs as well. Apart from that, the hardening of Mojaloop releases touched on several aspects, upgrading dependencies and addressing vulnerabilities reported by GitHub and several tools that we use. That's an ongoing activity. We are also using Sonar Cloud to identify security and quality issues. And we've been implementing that for the work that's being done as part of the work streams as well, and making sure that those are addressed as well, especially the security related items and the critical ones. Also, we have some CI/CD tooling. In fact, one aspect we did not discuss so far is on the SBOM activity. We also wanted to include it as part of the CI process as well, continuous integration in our Circle CI steps. In the DA, initially we agreed that because there are deprecated dependencies already that we don't know of, we first need to address the technical debt. But for future contributions, we want to have a CI step in there where it runs the scripts and then gives a list of dependencies that are deprecated, and showing that these should be fixed. And we wanted to have a time frame after which point the CI step itself will fail, meaning in a contribution, if there are outdated dependencies, then the pull request will be blocked with a failure. That has not been mandated yet, but it'll come in the future.
Can I just ask about that?
Sorry.
So we are accepting of different components using different versions of the same source, same library, whatever. That's fine, but we're only concerned if a particular version has been deprecated. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is correct, Paul. But also that is accurate. But as much as possible, I think this gives us a chance to have a perspective on that as well as an opinion, saying why shouldn't we always be on the latest version? Is there a good reason, or is there an exception for why you want to keep? Sometimes there may be, because functionality might break with upgrades.
Yeah.
But this gives us an opportunity to inform decision on that.
Yes, actually make an informed decision rather than just not notice. Yes.
Yep, exactly.
Okay,
And
good.
for
So
those
at
of
some
you
point,
who saw
sorry, go ahead, Sam. I'll stop interrupting.
no, go ahead, Paul.
I was just
think
going
there
to
is
say,
some
at
lag.
some point, we will update the CI pipeline so that it will stop if a module is using something that has been deprecated. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. In fact, we already have a draft PR in kind of where right now we'll run the step, we'll not fail it, but we'll throw a warning saying if there are deprecated packages, it'll show These are the deprecated packages for your notice. But soon we'll have so based on the DA decision, we'll have a chance to turn on that switch where the step will fail.
Yeah, it has to be a DA decision, I think. Yeah. Manzi, you've raised your hand.
Yes. Thank you, Paul. I'd like to know if there is a kind of alert, if there is something found to be having a high vulnerability during those cron jobs, and so that it doesn't go unnoticed. A kind of
Yes.
alert can be
Yes.
mailed, can be an SMS, something like that.
Okay. I think there are two aspects here. I think one is usually during the contribution process, but I suspect, Manzi, you may be referring to a vulnerability identified in a production system, the system that's already running. Yes?
Yes.
Right. So we have a coordinated vulnerability disclosure policy, which details like how we should proceed, what are the processes and like communication and other mechanisms that we use when a vulnerability is identified. But here in the PQS workstream, we are trying to actually address during the contribution process and the normal running of the software. So the process for addressing when a vulnerability is identified in a production system will be different from that. And that is detailed in our CVD policy, how Mojaloop can help with that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So here what we do is we have several steps, like I think anywhere between 10 and 25 continuous integration validation steps. And one of them is a vulnerability check. More than one steps deal with that, but one is dedicated to checking for vulnerabilities. And this data is pulled from a GitHub vulnerability database, and there is a national vulnerability database as well. Yeah, at least those two. And it pulls the data from there for known vulnerabilities. And if any of those are found, especially in moderate, higher critical category, then the CI step fails. So that mechanism is in place as well. Thanks for that question, Manzi.
Yeah, welcome, Sam.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to do was we want to assist the community members as they develop their own policies as well, like around how do we deal with vulnerability management. And we also wanted to do some blog posts on vulnerability management in Mojaloop as well, Mojaloop ecosystem. And it's a work in progress. We've assisted some of our adopters and system integrators with that, and we'll continue evolving the publicly available documentation around that as well. A couple of things we got on our list, but we wanted to move to the next PI. We are looking at stress and load testing of Mojaloop, and getting an open SSF badge as well, to show that we follow the best practices that are recommended by OpenSSF for security and quality. So with that, I want to touch on Mojaloop release process as well. We do a lot of things, but two new things, number 8 and 9 are the ones that we added in this PI, where we want to generate the software bill of materials. And then we also want to address the deprecated dependencies now that we know and we have a way of getting these details. And yeah, these are general, not PI 25 or specific to any PI, but general platform quality and security workstream details. And you can see that even during this PI, we are covering a lot of them, like security testing, maintenance of core and related dependencies for vulnerabilities, quality issues, maintenance and of tooling, and hardening of Mojaloop releases. And number 10 is also done. So moving forward, we can mark that as with the tick as well. And Paul, yeah, even anyone present here, if you have any items that we need to address as part of the platform quality and security, we can add those to the list. And as we have availability, we can continue to look at those. There was one new item that came out from the DA, was provenance of Mojaloop's artifacts, where we secure the communication or the pathway where packages are published, packages or images, any artifacts are published, and they're downloaded so that this mechanism is also secure. So that is something that what we found, that there is some guidance and research and documentation available on that. We have something from Amy and Godfrey that was submitted to the DA, but I don't think we had a POC. So that is a good candidate for the next PI as well, along with those two about stress load testing, OpenSSF, and of course, continuing some of the existing activities.
That's really good,
Well,
Sam. I'm glad you're thinking
that's
of
all.
I'm glad you're thinking of the activities for the next PI for this work stream, because that was going to be my question. So I'm glad to hear about that. But no, it's good to see the PQS work stream move from being responsive to actually being proactive. And I think a key element of that has been the work on the SBOM. It's very good progress. So thank you for that. Thank you to you, and thank you to Shuchita. You've done an amazing piece of work. So thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Or have we addressed them all?
I'll share the slides with you.
Yeah, please do, and I'll show them on the Product Council Slack channel, and I'll show the recording of this session as well. Good. If there are no questions, then just remains for me to say thank you to both of you, and I think it's been a very useful session. So thank you very much. Bye to everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.